I'll ask you to come back very soon, and I'm going to give the floor to a speaker from SDSN Mexico. So Dr. Luis Tambrano González is a researcher at the Institute of Biology from the UNAM. He's presenting the Chinampa refuge to conserve axolotls in a sustainable Xochimilco. And I hope that there are pictures of the axolotls, my absolutely favorite animal, since I saw it a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Luis. Over to you.
Well, before anything, thank you very much for the invitation. I am quite happy to be here and talking about the project. As you said, I am talking about our project, which is how to conserve axolotls in Mexico City by preserving local and traditional agriculture. Next slide, please. Well, axolotls live in urban wetlands, in a urban wetland called Xochimilco, basically, which is in Mexico City, south of the Mexico City. This animal is highly interesting and has been in our culture for more than 2,000 years. But recently, around the world, everybody has found that this is a very interesting animal, biologically, culturally, etc. Next one, please. Well, but the problem is that we are facing at this moment is the axolotl population is declining. They are facing the extinction in the wild, and in the worst case scenario, we will be losing the axolotl in the next 15 years. In the best case scenario, we will losing the axolotls in the next 50 years. That raised a red flag for us, trying first to understand what is happening. And the next slide, please. We will show you in the first years. We have been working for this project for about 20 years. And in the first years, we try to understand what is happening with the axolotls, why they are depleting. And we found that there are three critical problems that axolotls face. The first one is the exotic species. They were introduced carp and tilapia in Mexico City for aquaculture purposes, but these both species have been a plague in the water, and they eat larvae and eggs of the axolotls. The second one is pollution. I mean, pollution not only for the urbanization, which Mexico City is besides the system, and then they receive a lot of water that is not treated, but also the pollution of fertilizers and pesticides of the area. And the last one is the urbanization itself. Axolotls, they don't like to be besides humans, particularly when they are noisy and they have cars and they have the radio really, really high. So the next one, please. So to tackle these problems, we have to start to think in many ways. And one of the ways that we started to think is to create a symbiotic relationship between the axolotl and the chinampa. Next. This symbiotic relationship, next slide, please. Well, next, not before, a little bit before, I'm sorry. To tackle this symbiotic relationship, we have the axolotl, and also we have these islands. The chinampa is an island that it used to be to crop basically agricultural products that had been around for 2,000 years, and these chinampas were the reason why the Aztec civilization was so powerful, because they create food all the time around the year, and they have other, I mean, with the full salt, then they could make more culture, etc., etc. So next one now. So how do we create this symbiotic relationship? Well, we create it by generating refuges with rustic filters. I mean, you see, besides chinampas, so in the middle of chinampas, we have these canals. These canals help in the area in which axolotls survive and reproduce. Also, carp and tilapia and the rest of the biodiversity. So we create a small rustic filters, easily to build for local farmers, chinamperos called, and they generate, next one please, they can generate these small canals in which axolotls can survive outside of the dangers of the carp and tilapia, But also, if you create these filters, the water quality increases a little bit. If the water quality increases, then the chinamperos can have a better production crop, and then they can sell it better. They can have a better income. So the consequences is that more chinampas or more are willing to create these refuges, and that reduces the urbanization. So that is the way that we are trying to create this positive feedback in order to generate these refuges and increases the production of the traditional agriculture, which is towards the chinampa. Next one, please. So in the restoration process, we have faced a lot of problems and we have learned a lot of things. One of the things that we learn is that the ecology, the social and the economics interactions have to be related all the time. If we generate more ecological interactions more than social without understanding the social interactions or the economic interactions, then it's not successful. The other thing that we learned is that the long-term information in the socio-ecosystem is highly important. It's not only to understand what is happening with the axolotls, but also what is happening with the local farmers. We also apply adaptive management, which means that everything that we wrote in the paper not always works in the field. So we discuss this, and that's the last learning task, that is that we have to work transversely with the local people. They have a very nice idea, they have a lot of experience that helps us to understand and to solve many problems. Next one, please. So along this time, what we have and what we need. We have, and we already know how the refuge works. We understand how it improves water quality, and that improves biodiversity. And we also already have, for example, axolotls can reproduce within these refuges. We also know how to create these better practices with local agriculture. This chinamperia is by far better when we work with local chinamperos to create these better practices. But we need a lot of things. We need a broader network of producers. We need more ecological information. We need local and commercial channels for a better income. We are in a critical phase of this project, and we need to increase as fast as possible the number of refugees. Next one, please. So we learned, and our philosophy is this one: by preserving Xochimilco, we preserve the axolotl. We preserve the biodiversity, we preserve the culture, and finally, we preserve the city. So this is one of the things that I think that we attack some of the SDGs problems, that the task for you will be to understand which ones. And I will finish, next one, please. And the last one, I will finish with this quotation of Julio Cortázar, one of the best Latin American writers, that he wrote a story called Axolotl, and it starts like this. There was a time when I used to think in axolotls too much. I used to go to see them in the aquarium in the plant garden. I was there staring at them for hours, watching their immobility, their obscure movements. Now I am an axolotl. And with this quotation, I wanted to finish. Thank you very much. I want to share our love for axolotls, but it's not only for axolotls, but also for the habitat, for Xochimilco, for our culture, and this is part of the things we are doing at this moment. Thank you.